Hello and welcome to the Toffee Blues and welcome back to the Toffee Blues podcast. It's been a few weeks, but yeah, we are back into it, and I'm joined by Max Cruz as ever. How are you doing, Max?
Yeah, not too bad. Glad to be back on the podcast again, talking about football, innit? We've been away for 2 weeks, been a bit busy, haven't we? So, yeah, good to get another episode out.
Yeah, absolutely, and yeah, it's been quite an eventful few weeks. Obviously, it's always eventful. It's never a boring time supporting Everton Football Club, but. Yeah, like I said, there's plenty to get stuck into, but I guess with it being the week it's been, and obviously there's been one news source in particular that has really dominated the headlines concerning Everton this week. So I think there's no better place to start with than it looking like the takeover saga might finally be over. I say Everton
Uh,
have over the years, it's like it's I'm always hesitant to try and celebrate any good news until it's completely 100% official. And obviously, there's still many hoops to be jumped through before that can happen. But the deal has now been agreed with the Friedkin Group, and it just requires the approval from the regular authorities, of course. So obviously, this was kind of came out of nowhere, really, didn't it? On Monday, and all moved very quickly. Yeah. What were your thoughts when this was announced on Monday?
well, yeah, like you said, it kind of like came out of nowhere, didn't it? It was like, what was it, Monday or Tuesday when the news came out? The news
Mm.
broke because I heard something like Friday night they come to some sort of agreement, and he like, beat Texter to it in a way. But it's got that feeling to it there where a lot of people kind of figured that he was going to come back in at some point, and apparently he did that with Roma. Um, but yeah, I mean, Mashiri, it looks like Mashiri one good decision at least, and there's that chose the right owner for Everton, and it's looking positive. I mean, we don't know, do we, what's going to happen in the near future? But you just hope that they can finally, bring that sort of stability and sustainability to the club that we've like craved for so long. And hopefully, with that new shiny new stadium, good things are to come.
Yeah, so I think it shows just how like just all over the place it's been for so many years now that the second someone else comes in, like that is even remotely decent, everyone is just all over it. Like I said, there were some, even kind of myself included to a way who just wanted the 777 deal done just so it was over and we could like move on and get with something like that. Obviously, looking back now, that would have been obviously a disaster. But anything seemed preferable to Mashiri at one point, and like John Textor seems to have seems to have plenty of things that are kind of red flags, but it can't be worse than Mashiri really. Like it's been that bad for so many years now, and the club have declined so much under him that, like I say, just Friedkin's semi decent record of Roma alone is enough for us fans to just be like, right, we're all on board on this. Let's get it done.
It's not just that as well, is it? It's like we've had it for so long now, where it seems like Mashiri's been checked out for so long, and we've had this absent owner who doesn't communicate with us. No one has any idea how the club's getting run, how we're staying afloat, or any intention in the transfer market. It's just no one has any idea, and it's nice to see that we've got potentially an owner that's going to run a whole football operation, from the bottom up, and hopefully we start seeing results out on the pitch, sort of thing, with this new
Yeah.
owner.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been clear now. Like it has literally been, doesn't it, since all the stuff kicked off with Russia and Ukraine and Usmanov suddenly got his sanction, that Mashiri has taken a complete step back because clearly his financial backing, obviously it was all kind of under the table stuff, but it was pretty clear that most of the money being funneled into the club would have been via Usmanov. And once he lost that source, it kind of became clear that Mashiri wanted to sell up as much as possible. And as you say, whether you have a good owner or a bad owner, if you have an owner who literally just has zero interest in the club other than just selling it off for as much money as he can possibly make and just getting out of there, then it's always going to be a recipe for disaster. So yeah, like I say, I say it had a lot of promise, didn't it, when it all kicked off, and I say And I'm thinking back to when Mashiri first came in and the excitement everyone had around that time, and then we started, chucking money about everywhere. Um, like I said, I think I'm not alone in saying that all I just want now is just a coherent structure and a plan. And like I say, I think I'm willing to be patient. I think a lot of fans, if they see, steady progress, will be happy to be patient as well. And let's not mess this one up this time, basically. And
Yeah,
don't just start chucking money about everywhere, risking financial oblivion and all that. So
well, we've seen Brighton do it, haven't we? I mean, obviously not the biggest club in the world, but a proper football operation by I can't remember the owner's name, but just at first they weren't spending willy nilly, were they? And it's like they bought money in, and they've spent quite big this summer, haven't they? But that's because of how well run they have been, and just to see maybe a glimmer of that for Everton would be just like amazing for us Everton fans because of what we've had to endure like over the last 5 years of them sharing, even maybe longer, since
yeah.
2016.
Yeah, and as I say, I'm not the biggest fan of the club, but it has to be said, I think the way Newcastle have handled it all has been superb as well. Like I said, obviously it's a completely different scale to us because there's a stupid amount of money they have, like compared to obviously what Friedkin has. But obviously the fact that FFP is now a thing means that they couldn't do what Man City and Chelsea did in years before and just absolutely throw like billions at it like those two clubs have, and they've had to be a bit more strategic, but they've still pulled off the marquee signings here and there. The likes of Guimaraes and Isak have been really good signings for them and really got the fans excited. But at the same time, their recruitment has a clear plan to it, and they've got the right manager in straight away, who all the fans have got on board with. And to be fair, it's been very rapid progress for them. Obviously, getting Champions League in that first full season, obviously fell off a little bit last year, but still had, some really great nights and looking right back up there again this season. So I honestly think that's the model to follow, really. It's a exempt like that is how it should be done once you get a big owner in like that and and that's the way to get the fans back on board, really. So yeah, it's exciting times, isn't it?
It is, yeah, and like I said, like with these Newcastles, the New Brighton, you do have to have a plan. And when fans see that there's a plan in place, it's something we can grab hold of and be excited about. Because like in recent times, we've had absolutely nothing to hold on to. The only thing we've had to hold on to is that new stadium. But now, if we've got proper football operators, in the boardroom that can help us to perform well on the pitch as well as off it, I mean that's what you need, isn't it? And you just hope that they can deliver that plan for us.
Absolutely. Like I said, the stadium, as you say there, is a really good foundation, a really strong foundation for us to build around, and it's a real, obviously, a massive selling point, and probably the only reason so many of these like businessmen have been interested in us. It's definitely got to be the biggest selling point, from our point of view, based on how poor we've been in recent years and just how financially ruined the club appears to be. But hopefully, the Friedkins can come in and sort all that. Obviously, once a new owner comes in, there's always going to be talk about the wholesale changes and stuff, and obviously Sean Dyche isn't the most popular man with Everton fans at the moment, and obviously the likes of Kevin Felwell as well, the director of football, has had its critics throughout his time at the club, but I don't know. I'm a little hesitant about. For me, it's just I don't want us doing anything rash as soon as these lot come in. I think slow and steady is the way to do it, especially, when we're still in quite a precarious position with, the squad and still finances aren't all going to be solved overnight. So I still think safety and security is still got to be the priority at first. And obviously, I think I've made it clear on this channel quite a lot that I'm a massive fan of Deitch and all he's done for us, and he is a safe pair of hands. So obviously, I think a lot of people are hoping that as soon as these lot come in, Dyche will be in for the chop, and we'll get in a more exciting, like more progressive manager, I guess, or a more attack-minded manager, to play more attractive football. But I'm not entirely sure. For me, that'd be the right thing to do straight away. I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
But I think there's an element of Everton fans and maybe even the new owners coming in is that once that they do take over, is that everyone will kind of be thinking we want a fresh start. we've got the fresh start with the owners, and then it could be an element of they'll stick with Dyche for a bit, but as soon as results start going sour again, they'll be quick to go. We want our man in. We're going to get our man in, and I think that could be the way it goes. I think it's been a really hard job for Dyche, and I think in areas he's done really well. And all us football fans are really fickle about results. As soon as results are going sour, he's the worst man in the building, isn't he? But I think from my point of view, I think it's about time that we employed someone who was a bit forward thinking. Dyche isn't my favourite. I've supported him, but he's starting to grain on me a little bit, and it's a bit like, I'd love to have someone like that Fabian Hertzler at Brighton, and let's say it's early in his tenure, obviously, but it's just a young, hungry manager with fresh new ideas that we haven't really seen at Goodison Park for so long. I feel like we've had the same sort of manager now for quite a while. I know we tried with Martinez, previously, and even Marco Silva. It never worked, and that's the problem, isn't it, with Everton? So many things haven't worked. But I just think that this fresh reset with the new owner, going into the new stadium, a new manager would be preferable, and I think it would be what they would be looking for when they walk in through the doors.
Mm. Absolutely, like you said, as you've touched on throughout this, the likes of Brighton have a vision. They know exactly how they want to play their football. They know the type of players they want to get through the door, and they know the type of manager that's going to be able to implement that style of play and work best with those players. So that's what we need. Like you need something for the fans to get on board with. And as you say, the way we've been chopping and changing the last few years, and getting in managers with different styles and different preferences and stuff like that, and having to work with players under different managers. We've still got Seamus Coleman, who was signed under David Moyes, who left the club over 10 years ago. So it's a mess when it's like that. And if you give fans something to get behind, and there's a clear like style in place and the right manager to play that style, I say it's not what we did when under Mashira. Koeman was meant to be that man that we were all going to get behind, and it just was never really the right fit. There was never the sense that he really connected with the club too much. It kind of became clear that he really viewed it as a bit of a stepping stone. He obviously got his big gig with Barcelona straight after leaving us, and obviously became Holland manager afterwards and stuff like that. Um, but like I say, it wasn't the right appointment at all, and obviously, we ended up getting Sam Allardyce to come in and try and fix the mess that he'd made, and then, as you say, Marco Silva came in. That didn't quite work out. Then Ancelotti was meant to be the marquee, and it was an absolute mess, wasn't it? And we can't be doing that again. We can't be chopping and changing managers like every few years. You need a manager that we can just get behind, give a few years to build a project. I think that's what all football fans nowadays want. They just want a project to get behind, and you know, if it's playing exciting football, then that's obviously a bonus. But the fact is, if it's winning enough games and getting us, back up the table again, then fans will get on board like with it. And yeah, that's what needs to be done, absolutely. And I do agree with you. Like I say, I'm a big fan of Deitch and the job he's done, but I don't think he's the manager to get us back up the table again at all. I think he's very much, the firefighter manager, the one who like
Yeah.
gives us enough security to stay in the league, and yeah, like I say, it might be a bit harsh, but that's probably where his usefulness ends, really. And I think that relationship with the fans is gone now, and he's going to struggle to recover that again. I'm really only concerned about him keeping us in the Premier League now, but and I think, if he does that, maybe enough fans will just be able to say, yeah, fair enough, he's done a good job, but now's the time to move on, and it can end, somewhat cordially. I think that's yeah, definitely where I'm at with that. Um, but yeah, like I say, obviously, there's a lot of looking ahead to the future now, but obviously, the bigger picture is that we've got a match on Saturday, and we're still very much in the thick of it. And if these Friedkins are going to come in, it's probably not going to be for a few months yet. So there's still a survival bid to be launched, and yeah, obviously, I haven't made the starts of the season that any of us would have hoped, really, and it gets more concerning and it gets harder to defend as the weeks go on. Absolutely, but I'd say Leicester in particular was definitely a game I thought we should have been winning. And obviously there were improvements there, but like I say, it's 2 points dropped, isn't it? Again, with us taking the lead yet again and failing to hold on to that. And you can make excuses all you like about how many key players were missing, but you can't make that excuse forever, and these results obviously need to change. So yeah, what do you think are like your biggest concerns so far this season, and what do you think is like the one thing that like is just different from last season that really needs improving?
Yeah, like you said, I think obviously we need to concentrate on the immediate right now, and that's winning football games in the Premier League, isn't it? The most concerning thing, it's concerning because we've conceded so many goals, and especially from crosses as well. We seem to be not stopping these crosses and corners, and we're not aggressive enough. But we've got like old men on the flanks, haven't we? At times on the right back, left back, and it's just like, but we have got Bramthwaite coming back in on the weekend, and you kind of think possibly that could paper over the cracks, and we become more solid again. But that is the concern, really, isn't it? Is the defence is that we are shipping goals and still not scoring loads. I mean, we did score 3 against Bournemouth, of course, but 2 against Bournemouth, and you know, you know. But one thing I am positive about is that front four that played against Leicester, because I thought they were quite free flowing and they were positive. It was the first time in a while when I thought I liked the look of our attack, and I was quite positive about it. I like Illiman and I mean, his skills and his movement, his sharpness. Like we have not had that for a while. And then you look at McNeil, who's down the middle, who isn't the best on the wing at times, is he? Because he can't use his right foot, and he's not the paciest. But he's always had technical ability, and he can pick a pass, and he's a good carrier of the ball at times. I think into space. So I think that was positive again. And Lyncham looked sharp. He had chances. And then you're hoping like Calvert-Lewin starts, racking up maybe a few numbers. But yeah, we need to obviously tighten up at the back. But we've got Bramford coming back in. We've got Tarkowski. Garner was he was solid at times at the right back. You could argue in a way that he's one of the better fullbacks at the club at the minute because the position we're in. But I'm feeling positive. I'm feeling more positive at the minute than negative after the performance against Leicester. I think it was 2 points dropped, but I'm feeling more positive about the squad going into Saturday because I feel like there's a bit more confidence going into it.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's crazy how quickly things change because obviously last season it was clear that the defense was very solid, but we just weren't scoring enough goals, and for whatever reason the attack just didn't click really throughout the season. And like I said, we had one of the lowest goals tallies I think in the whole division, and I completely agree. I think the attack looks a lot better this season, but it almost seems like we've had to sacrifice something that has made the defense weaker. Um, and like I say, I don't know if it is just personnel. It concerns me how reliant we seem on Jarrod Branthwaite, based on the fact that as good as he is, a 22-year-old lad who is probably not going to be here much longer, and that's going to be a problem we're going to have to face up to at some point. And I think it places a lot of pressure on his shoulders as well. You look at it for the last few seasons when Calvert-Lewin was out for long periods of injury, and as soon as he came back, he was expected to score a bucket load of goals and help and save us, and it never really worked out like that. So if Bramthwaite comes back in and isn't as sharp as he has been and is a bit off the ball, then I'm not entirely sure what effect that's going to have on the rest of the defense. I'd like to think it improves things a little bit purely because I think the main issue we have is that Tarkowski and Keane are too similar, and
Mm.
people are saying they don't like that Tarkowski plays differently when Keane's there, and I definitely think there's a lot in that. I'm not sure if it's a confidence issue or more just that they're trying to do too many of the same things. And the way our defense works is that it's usually one centre back pushes up and tries to win the ball high at the pitch aggressively, and that's usually Bramthwaite, and Tarkowski sits deeper. Whereas with Tarkowski and Keane, neither of them are really quick enough to do that aggressive role and then get back if it doesn't work out in time. And I think that's probably part of what is not quite clicking for us at the back this season. And again, as you say, probably with the chopping and changing, and we've had to play so many different like players at like makeshift positions. Obviously, we've had Roman Dixon in a few times, an inexperienced youngster, and then Ashley Young at the other end of the spectrum, who is clearly a decent player in his head, but just can't do the things he wants to do anymore. Like his body's just not allowing him to do what he knows is the right thing to do, which must be frustrating. And probably similar story with Seamus Coleman as well whenever he plays. So like I say it's not ideal at the moment, but I still just have faith that it's all just going to come together at some point again, and we'll see just similar little runs that we had on last season that were once you get a couple of wins together, you start to look up the table again, and the other
I
teams are just unable to match them really.
think for a while we've been sort of like a confidence team, aren't we? Where the wins come together and like the loss streaks come together as well. So it's never a case of like, oh, we'll win 1 or 2, we'll lose 1, and we'll go another 2, or it seems like 4 on the row and then we don't win for 6 games or something like that. It's kind of like a bit of a mentality issue amongst the squad, isn't it? And it's something that needs to change if we are ever going to improve. And that comes down to bringing the right personnel in. But yeah, going back onto the Tarkowski, Branthwaite, Keane thing is that I think there was a number of occasions where we conceded goals where both of them have dropped off and none of them have gone towards the ball. And they've kind of been like, oh, what happens next? Who's going to go? And like, that wouldn't happen really, would it, if it was Branthwaite? Because there is one person that knows his role of what he's the more aggressor, and one who's more just sits off, covers well, wins the header sort of thing. And yeah, hopefully, and it obviously is a lot of pressure with Branthwaite, but I think he can handle it. It was a lot of pressure on him last season. We were against under the cosh, not won in months, and Branthwaite still churning out performances every single week. He's made for it. He is made for it.
Absolutely, yeah. I'd say it is the likelihood. I think there's going to be a riot if he doesn't start on Saturday. So I'd like to think he will. The presser that should always very vague in his pressers, but the wording to me suggests that I think he's going to be ready to start. And if he's ready to start, he'll be starting 100%. And along with the Friedkin news this week, I think that'll give a massive boost to us. And I think Goodison could very well be like in really high spirits on Saturday. And if we get a performance to match it, I think that feel good factor will come back pretty quickly. And there's some winnable fixtures after this as well. I think Ipswich is coming up, and a few games in October that we can definitely look to be winning. And obviously Palace haven't started the season very well either. Obviously, the way they ended last season, a lot of people were expecting them to carry that over and have a really, mount a real serious challenge for European places. And so far, it's really not clicked for them either. So, and based on their record at Goodison Park as well, they haven't won there in over 10 years, I think it is. So, those little numbers put together, and suddenly you start to look at this game on Saturday and think like we really need to be winning it. It's a really, really good opportunity to finally get this season up and running. I thought it was going to be less last week. It hasn't quite worked out that. Like you say, there were improvements, but yeah, like I said, I'm feeling good about this game now, and it really does feel like a massive opportunity, and it's going to be a massive opportunity wasted if we don't take it. So yeah, we've discussed Brantford a little bit. Like I say, I think we both agree, obviously, that if he's fit, he has to be starting. But who else out of the players that are probably going to be coming back would you be starting against Palace?
So you've got Gay coming back, haven't you? Dresser Garner Gay. I've got to say, I thought Oral Mangala played very well against Leicester, and you know what? I got the feeling that he won't put Gay in. I think he'll put that to midfield again of Decore and Mangala, because I feel like, especially in the first half, it worked. I thought they performed really well. Yeah, I think it'll be Decore and Mangala. I think he'll stick to what worked last week. I think it'll be very similar with possibly Branthwaite coming in, and you don't know, because he might bring in Keane, and if that happens, people's heads are going to explode. But yeah, I think Garner will start full back alongside Young as well, and then the front four of Lindstrom, McNeil, Illiman and Dye, and Calvert-Lewin. I think they'll definitely start for me. I think they have to.
Absolutely, I completely agree. I think Mikalenko's back from like that wasn't even an injury; it was illness. So I'd like
Right.
to think he'll be starting a left back. So I guess
Yeah.
it leaves the question of Young or Garner at right back. And to be fair, I'm gonna get slapped for this. I genuinely don't think Young's been as bad as people have made out this season. I know we had the fiasco on the opening day and the red card and all that, and obviously, but I thought against Leicester he actually played really well and got a very good assist. And I don't know, I genuinely don't think he's been as bad as people are making out. And I like James Garner a lot, but you can tell that he's not suited really to being a right back. And he's probably going to be up against the likes of Eze and someone like that. I don't know if you maybe want someone a bit more with a bit more experience in there. I don't know. I'd be happy with either of them starting at right back. I'll be honest. As I say, the main one for me has to be as we touched on Brantford starting and hopefully Mikalenko coming back
Well,
in and
with the bigger picture, you wouldn't really be happy with Ashley Young starting the right back at 38 years old, would you? But with the options we have, I mean, I personally prefer to have Young at left back. I think he's better at left back. I don't know why. I just think he's better. Um, but yeah, I think the weekend's gonna be a very physical game as well. I don't think it'll be much quality in it, to be honest. But we need to be, concentrating because Eze and Nketiah, I think they're very sharp and they can punish us at any time. As long as we keep them quiet, I think we got a good chance of getting the win that we need.
mm. I completely agree as well, by the way, just quickly on Mangala and Decor. I really like that partnership in the middle, and I think Mangala's like kind of a different midfielder to what we have in that I think he prefers the more sit-in role. And I completely agree. I think Gay and Decore wouldn't work for similar reasons, in that I think they're both a bit too like mobile. Basically, they both be trying to do the same things. Really, like they can both cover a lot of ground, and you kind of want
Mm.
one who roams about trying to win tackles or whatever and getting the ball out of the pitch, and one who just kind of sits back a bit more. So I'd like to think it'll kind of interchange a little bit during the season with maybe Gay and Decore kind of in swapping in that role next to someone sitting like Mangala or maybe someone like James Garner who could possibly do that. I'm not sure once he moves back into the midfield. But yeah, that's I if Gage coming in, I'd be bringing him in for Decore, not for Mangala, I think. But based on how Decore played on Saturday, I agree. I'd be sticking with him in the midfield and yeah, just giving Gage a bit more rest, I guess, getting him back to sharpness, I guess. But yeah, like I say, we've been talking about how confident we are. Score predictions. What do we reckon?
Seems like 3-2 is the score of the Everton Palace game, isn't it? We won 3-2 last season as well, and as well as the big night on that Thursday night, where we got saved from relegation. But I think it's going to be close. I don't think there's going to be many goals. I think it'll be a 1-0 win. If I'm being honest, I think it'll be a typical Dyche 1-0 win at home.
Yeah, that's it. I think I'll go for 2-0. I'll say that, we just managed to nick another goal towards the end or something like that. Maybe just a bit of Indie magic or something like that to really hammer it home. But yeah, I don't know. I just have this feeling on Saturday that this is finally going to be where it all clicks with the Friedkin news as well. I think it'll um really give Goodison a boost, I guess. So yeah, like I say, just to round things off, we're going to be trying a new segment for the podcast. And so, yeah, with Palace being the opposition this weekend, we're going to look back at a former game in years past. We're going back to the match in February 2018, a 3-1 win for Sam Allardyce's Everton. And
Oh,
Max, you have 3 minutes to name that starting lineup. So just quickly before, I'll give you a little bit of time to think, like while I explain the rules. So how it's going to work is that, like I say, you've got 3 minutes. You've got to name all 11 players. You have 3 lives. So if you get a player who is either not in the starting lineup or on the bench, then you lose that life. And you have 3 minutes to name all 11 players. Are you ready?
it was 3-1.
3-1 win for Everton in February 2018 at Goodison Park.
Right, okay.
Okay, right.
I, I got 3 minutes now.
And starting the timer now.
Um, Pickford,
Yeah, Pickford in goal. That's one.
um, James Coleman,
James Coleman. That's two.
Michael Keane,
Michael Keane. That's three.
um, Theo Walcott,
Theo Walcott is four.
Was John Joe Kenny in there?
John Joe Kenny was on the bench, so we won't include that in the thing, but no life lost.
Rooney.
Rooney, that's 5.
Yeah. Garner Gay.
Mr. Garner Gage, that is 6. Minute has gone, still got 2 minutes left. Doing well here, 6 out of 11.
Have I got the goalkeeper?
Yeah, said Jordan Pickford.
Oh, did I say Pickford? Who else? Mangala.
Mancala is right. That's mental. I did not think you were going to get him because I think this is a game where he went injured and then we never saw him again. But he went off at half time. But
Because the only like appearance he made. No. Did Tosson play?
Tosson is on the bench, so won't include it in the thing. But again, still got your 3 lives intact.
Mason Holgate. I've said 2 centre backs, haven't I?
Yeah, and Matt Holgate did not make the bench, so that is a life lost, and you have a minute left. Still 3 players to name. Sorry, 4 players to name. I can give you positions if you'd like that. Positions you still need to name.
Positions, yeah.
Yeah, so striker, you got 2 midfielders to get, and a fullback. Say again.
Tom Davis.
Tom Davis, that's 8.
Allardyce era, it's got to be Cuco Martina.
Cuca Martino is 9.
And who else have I got? Have I got one more?
You got 2 more, midfielder and a striker.
It's not Umar, is it?
Umar Niasse is 10. Just the midfielders a name now. 15 seconds.
15 seconds, right. So it was after Koeman era, and we bought a load of cams. Oh, was it Wayne Rooney?
You said Rooney. No.
Oh,
No.
Oh.
And that's
Tom
time. Oh, I can't believe it. And the player you missed is still our record signing of all time. And it's he who must not be named. Gylfi Sigurdsson was in the midfield that day. Scored the first goal of the game. You had Sigurdsson scored just after half time. And then Umar Niasse and Tom Davis with Milivojevic scoring a penalty in the 83rd minute. 3-1 win in 2018. Yeah. Dark days. I didn't like reminding of some of those players. Cuca Martino, I never want to hear that name ever again. But
worst fullback I've ever had. I'm not saying something.
Yeah. Oh, that was a lot more tense than I thought. I was convinced Mangala was going to be the one that was going to trip you, and maybe Martina. I thought you might have successfully blocked him out, but sadly not.
Get to that Allardyce era where we had, oh god.
Wow. Well, I say
like that this weekend.
Yeah. Fingers crossed. Yeah, well, that basically sums everything up, I think. So thank you for joining me, Max. We'll hopefully be getting these out on a bit more of a regular basis again going forward. Please, if if you enjoyed, subscribe to the Toffee Blues channel for more Everton content, and we will see you in the next video. Up the Toffees.